Oh, InfoWars. Sure. Do you have a link? Okay. First video on Alex Jones. Let's go.
I notice people on X particularly, but all of the places, I see comments with millions of views, just comments. They're like, we're confused. We tune in one day and Jones is praising Trump. We tune in another, he's attacking him. Yeah, that's what I do. I call.
I call out when he does something good, when he does something bad. On the international stage, he's an absolute disaster this second term. Domestically, he's done some good things.
All balls and strikes. So huge articles, videos. I wasn't even looking for them. I just saw it everywhere. Millions of comments. It's crazy everywhere. Most of it positive, but about a third of them like, hey, you're not allowed to praise the DOJ and die to the SPLC. You're not on the Trump train anymore. What the hell does that mean? The SPLC has been targeting me and harassing me and behind lawsuits against me forever. They're a terrorist organization, and when Trump does something good, I'm going to cheerlead it. And when he does something bad, I'm going to freak out over it. Like getting us into this war 56 days in, consumer sentiment all-time low, inflation exploding, derailing Trump's economic plan that was excellent. I'm pissed off because Trump started going sideways on what we put him in there for. That is so elementary.
Yes, no forever wars. It was the most basic of basics. Don't fuck over the global economy by bombing Supreme Leader and closing the Strait of Hormuz. It's just basics, the absolute fundamental, just the basics of what you don't do.
That is so simple. And I'm mad at the people that misrepresent and attack me, not because they're attacking me, but because they really believe that when his administration has bad advice and does bad things, we're supposed to sit down and shut up.
Nope.
That is mental illness. That's like the Democrats and their cult.
Oh, this is a 9-hour stream. So we're going to have to, if you say this is a good part, let's skip to that because I can't watch 9 hours.
He's already been greatly derailed. Can it be resuscitated 56 days into this war? Trump's now panicking behind the scenes and publicly saying, open the effing strait.
He is absolutely panicking. And he should be panicking. He's finished politically.
Iranians are getting through the blockade, but all they need is to keep it shut down where 30% of oil, gas, fertilizer goes through. It's already causing massive problems with food production. The international organizations.
Millions will starve.
Track this or estimate.
That's not a joke. In poor countries, when food prices go up, they can't afford to buy it and they starve. And prices are going to skyrocket next year. So millions will starve.
Mass famine to be kicking in next year because this is killing the growing season. It's particularly hurt poor people. They're living hand to mouth.
There should be 140 ships passing through this each day. This is just empty.
This is a big deal. Here I am a year ago, and we've gone over this so many times, June 20th of 2025, warning that the real way that the deep state could derail Trump's plan wouldn't be a virus this time, but the Iran war. We spent hours on this.
Oh, that was a good call. Sometimes I admit I'm a little bit naive. Just what really did for me, bombing Iran's supreme leader was just so colossally stupid that I didn't actually believe Trump would do it. It's like taking a gun, putting it to your head and blowing your brains out. That's what Trump did when he bombed supreme leader. He committed political suicide. He ended his second term, his presidency. He's going to probably be impeached over this because Democrats will win the midterms. And I honestly didn't believe he could be that deluded, that stupid. When someone who isn't suicidal and you think it has half a brain, you'd at least believe they're not going to do something like take a gun, point at their heads, and blow their brains out. Someone who's not suicidal. And Trump isn't suicidal as far as I know. Why the fuck did he do something that stupid? Still some part of me refuses to believe it. Even though I think I know why, because they were tricked. They tricked him into thinking Iran was trying to assassinate him. And they tricked him into thinking, it'd be over in 3 days. But still, it just, even with that,
Basically every show. Kirk's been coming on for over 2 years now. And so here I am with Dr. Kirk Elliott last June. We know, they say they will close the strait if the United States hits it. Then I see these idiots on X going, they
Everyone knew they would close the straits if you bombed their supreme leader. Everyone.
can't close that. There's CIA assessments, British assessments. It's a tiny strait that's shallow, 5 or 6 tankers sunk there. It'll take months to get them out, and the Iranians are going to be shooting at whoever tries to get it, so it could be permanent. Good.
If the Houthis could close the Red Seas, this little ragtag group of rebels in Yemen could close this. The little ragtag group of rebels in this country that's, what, a sixth the size of Iran, and a group of rebels that only controls a portion of this country, could close this strait here. Then, Iran can close this here when it's a superpower compared to the Houthis, and they have so much more control. Yeah, it was obvious to everyone that Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz.
God, before people shoot their mouths off, actually go research this crap. This isn't a game, people.
Yes, I like how ready he is. I'm ready too, look. Shadowy glow. But yes, he's spitting facts.
Before you run your mouths, get your head out of your ass. They're going to close the damn thing. We'll be right back. Now, 56 days ago, this started. And we went through all the war games, the Pentagon assessment, the CIA assessment, which I agree with. I don't just agree with them. I went and looked at it. Strait of Hormuz is one of the most studied areas of the world. Iran can keep it closed indefinitely. The Pentagon and the 16 intelligence agencies, including Tulsi Gabbard.
Only way to open it is to basically conquer the whole south of Iran. That's the only way to open it. You need 1 million troops to do that. Or if your goal is just open the strait, maybe 500,000 would do it.
And Joe Kent told him 92% chance. Remember, we broke this before it was even out. 92% chance the regime doesn't fall, and basically 100% chance they close the strait indefinitely.
Yep.
And they've studied their psychology. Then Israel advised Trump to kill the mullah when all the advice was, don't ever do that. It'll make them fight even harder.
No. Killing the mullah was a secret to letting Iran close the Strait of Hormuz. As long as the Supreme Leader of Iran is alive, we have a threat. We have a threat to go in and bomb the Supreme Leader. And so if they ever are the first ones to close the Strait of Hormuz, we bomb the Supreme Leader. And so we have deterrence. We have some way to prevent them from closing the Strait of Hormuz. After you bomb the Supreme Leader, not only are they fucking furious, but our deterrent is gone. The one thing preventing them from closing this absolutely critical waterway and fucking over the world economy is lost the instant we kill the Supreme Leader.
Israel knew exactly what it was doing, knew that we wouldn't beat them right away, but was going to gamble that long-term we would. But upchain for BlackRock and the Rothschilds, the globalists.
I don't even think it's that. I think Netanyahu had deluded himself the same way as Trump into thinking Iran would collapse in 3 days. Because there are preparations you make if you think it's going to be a longer war. And this is not going well for Israel. So Israel fucked itself over too in starting this war. It might have thought that it was doing something in its interest, and it's still deluding itself with wishful thinking that it can somehow get a good outcome from this, but it's become increasingly obvious that, yeah, Netanyahu is fucked too.
That created Israel, they know this will kill Trump's recovery plan that brings nation states to the fore and doesn't let their international organizations.
Honestly, that might be one of the reasons they did it, is by tricking Trump into bombing Supreme Leader, they finished his presidency. Everything they've tried to bring Trump down, this one worked.
Like the IMF, World Bank, World Trade Organization, control policy. And so everything Trump was trying to do was baked into. And
yeah, I mean, think how this Iran war is such a distraction from the Trump administration. Look at this great story. Great thing they did recently, exposing the SP LC. Yeah, more stuff like that would be good. But when you're devoting all your attention to warning Iran, it completely sidetracks your government, your administration.
Lowering energy costs was the main mechanism he had to slow and even reduce inflation. And the first year plus, he got that done. And numbers were coming in. The economic recovery was working. Kirk thought we'd still have a correction. Kirk started saying, maybe we won't now. Instead, we're going to get way more than a correction now, I think it's safe to say.
Stagflation. Those joys and wonders of stagflation are back. After 40 years, a whole new generation will experience the wonder.
Dr. Kirk Elliott is a renowned economist, also a theologian, been on the Focus on the Family board for many, many, many years, until recently. And he just knows what he's talking about. He also street smart. Last 25 years, overnight success story, has the largest silver and gold brokerage in North America because the 5 stars, the best quality, the lowest prices. Just a fact. What is wholesale every day? That's what you get. And you can sell it back with no charge. Nobody does that at scale. You got to be at super scale to even have deals like that. This is the place to get gold and silver. Yeah, he's a sponsor. I'm throwing that out. That's a side issue.
That might be a place if you want to buy physical gold.
You don't see my other sponsors on as guests, folks, because they're great, but they're not. I'd be having him on if he's just an economist. You understand? And then as a sponsor, that's double good. When you can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, help people, listeners love it. And it's all baked in. They can try to suppress gold and silver. It's not going to work. Overall, in the last 2 years, look how much it's up. The best investment out there. We don't steer you wrong. But
yep, the dollar's collapsing. It's not gold going up. It's the dollar that's collapsing. Actually, it's both. Gold is going up too. But you can't ignore the part that it's really also the dollar losing its value.
I told the crew, I said, hey, get a clip of Kirk. Well, they got a clip of me. But there's so many of Kirk going into great detail about it, what would happen. And so I want Trump to succeed. That's why I got in his face when he said, I'll destroy a whole civilization in 1 day and never to return. That's the definition of genocide. And so that's not going to happen. If you drop nukes on them, they're not going to give up. And we'll be an international pariah. Israel was selling nuking them. So I went, 25th Amendment, Trump, if you don't stop.
Yeah, if Trump is thinking ever thinks of nuking Iran, I'm 100% for the 25th Amendment to get him the fuck out of there.
And I knew he'd attack me, and I knew a bunch of listeners would get mad at me. But hey, that's better than nuclear war. I have a responsibility. So I pulled the emergency.
Absolutely.
And it got his attention. You notice he said, okay, no nukes the next day. No nukes, and we're not going to, but Alex is low IQ. Hey, I'll take that every day.
Yeah.
And we even sell the low IQ hat. Oh, yeah, I'm very low IQ. I've just had the whole globalist after me for decades. And
yeah, take a Trump insult and make merch from it.
Change the whole world with the listeners supporting us. You all did that. Did it together. Yeah, I'm real low IQ, folks. I'm real stupid running circles around these people. It's your low IQ hats right now, thealexandstore.com. So, Dr. Elliott, I mean, I'd love to say your predictions are incredible, and they have been, or my prediction, ooh, I'm incredible, we got this right. This was known. This is not a hard prediction to make.
No. Predicting Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz, yeah, it's good if you knew that, but you're not a genius. Even a low IQ person could figure that out.
But now we're getting the numbers in. It looks like worse than we even thought it would be only 56 days in. Remember, the numbers are always about a month old. So this is only like a few weeks in this has already happened. U.S. consumer sentiment falls to record lows on inflation. Asia spiraling, supply shock coming for America. Trump's...
Yeah, this is good. This is good that he's publicly gone and said this, because it drastically lowers the chance that Trump uses a nuke. Now, Israel is another story. It lowers the chance of that too, but it's not zero for Israel.
Right now at 32. I mean, this is not good. But I'm supposed to be a Trump supporter that eggs him on in nuclear war and keeping the strait closed. I'm supposed to just lie to people and just go, everything's fine, Dr. Elliott. So you've got the floor to break this down. I know you're not happy to say we told you so. I'm not pleased to be here right again. Are you?
No, I'm not. But, you showed that clip, right? And so many people said, oh, when we go in and we have this conflict with Iran, it's going to be done in just a few days.
No,
Iran doesn't stand a chance against America, right? Well, nobody can face America's military might. But we knew that this wasn't going to be over real quick.
The only reason I thought there might be a small chance that there was a Venezuela moment in Iran, again, because I didn't think Trump would be stupid enough to bomb Supreme Leader unless there was something really solid set in place, but I was wrong on that. And the fact that they did Venezuela operation, pulled that off and got Maduro. But it was still, as far as I knew, I was 90% certain also that Iran wouldn't collapse and be a disaster. And that turned out to be the case.
Did we know that it was going to be a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or months or 10 years like Afghanistan? Right? It's like...
Yeah, it was recently on our mind, the Maduro operation. And so that's why we couldn't discount the chance that there'd be something similar in Iran. And honestly, that is another factor that got us into this fucking war, is Trump. It was probably on Trump's mind too. And you think, oh, hey, I'm God. I'm the God's U.S. president. I can do whatever. I can get Maduro that easy. I can do the same with Iran.
Okay. The war in Afghanistan was over a decade, right? But what implication did it have? I mean, what do they produce? Like opium?
Worked on Asmongold too. He was all like sure there'd be a regime change in Iran.
I don't know. But this one's a bigger deal because the Strait has so many implications to the rest of the world, which now we're finding out, right?
Yeah, I don't know where you were using this footage because we're not dropping gravity bombs on Iran. We're using standoff missiles. We wouldn't be having all these ammunition problems offensively if we could drop gravity bombs.
Right? It's not just oil, but we're dealing with fertilizer. We're dealing with food supplies. We're dealing with a lot of stuff, right? So the longer that this goes on, the worse it's going to be for inflation. And this is the problem. This is where the globalists know that they can actually derail Trump's economic plan, like what you said, right? So you and I were talking about this article, the CEO of Dow Chemicals, right? So he came out just like yesterday and said, even if this conflict were to end tomorrow, there's probably a 275-day logjam that's going to take for things to get cleared out.
That's not even mentioning the mines that they've just added to Strait of Hormuz that is going to take time to clear. And basically, they've mined this area, which used to be where all the ships come through. Now ships have to go through this roundabout way and much narrower. So they have to go in single file at less at a time. And so until all those mines are cleared, no way traffic goes back to normal.
Well, you would just address this. It's like, okay, in the next 275 days, you've got the growing season. You've got all the stuff for fertilizers. I mean, this is going to cause shortages in food, not just oil.
Yep.
It's going to cause inflation to go up. So when inflation goes up, what can't you do? You can't lower interest rates during times of inflation, right? So this is a problem. This is what Trump has been wanting to do for a long time, is lower interest rates to stimulate the domestic economy. Oh, especially during...
It would have happened. Without this Iran war, the interest rates would have been lowered going into the midterms and Republicans would have had a decent chance of winning. Yep. Everything could have gone well for Trump without his idiotic decision to start a war with Iran.
During the midterm elections, this is what needs to be done. See, China, the BRICS nations, they know this. And who is their worst enemy? It's Trump, right? So they don't want him around. So here's the problem. Inflation is going to persist, which means you're not going to get lower interest rates anytime real soon. So here's where this isn't just a new thing, though, Alex. So the BRICS nations are revolting against the U.S. dollar, right? You go back to October 2024. How did Putin open up the BRICS summit? He said, we're going to de-dollarize the world. It's our objective and it's irreversible. And it's like, okay, fighting words there, right? But how did they do it, right? So
that's why they want Putin dead. That's why Ukraine tried to assassinate him on our behalf.
So you have to take one step back to how Biden was actually wanting to dismantle the U.S. economy because of his globalist agenda, right? So when the Russia-Ukraine conflict started, what did Biden do? And we talked about this. We talked about this way back then. Is he put the nuclear sanction, basically not economic sanction, not nuclear sanction, but the nuclear economic sanction on Russia, and said, we're going to remove you from the SWIFT system, which is the settlements for all banks.
Yes,
So
huge.
he's basically saying, hey, Russia, we're going to starve out your people. You're not going to get any money into your banking system. Putin's not an idiot. He goes to China. He says, hey, China, guess what? Trump actually, or Biden actually.
This war in Ukraine was something that's building up ever since Ukraine's Maidan revolution, or whatever, where the democratically elected president was overthrown by pro-Western puppets. And Russia was preparing. They knew there'd be sanctions if they did anything against Ukraine, and they prepared their economy for it and their banking system.
Actually cut us out of the SWIFT system. We can't get any money. China said, so what? We've got our own system. So starting since 2024, after Biden did that, what did they start to do? They had their own settlement system, their own payment systems already set up.
And just like the Ukraine war, now the Iran war is accelerating everyone into that new system.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is where
the Iran war is a huge accelerant, because when it was just Russia, that's a little bit at the fringe, but the Iran, that's removing all that oil from the Gulf. Only big players left are Iran, before the U.S. blockade, and Russia. And the only way to interact with those is to start interacting with this alternative payment system.
this is this revolt against the U.S. dollar, and why Putin would say we're going to de-dollarize the world. Since 2024, do you realize that 90% of all of the money settlements in the BRICS nations are already not using the US dollar? Already 90%. Now, that's a big, huge trade block. China's big, India's big, Russia's big.
Huge.
I mean, this is a big deal.
And let me throw this in. I'm sure you've seen it. Larry Fink is he looked like he was seeing a ghost.
Of course, Iran was buying gold. Any nation that's on the U.S. blacklist buys gold as a foreign reserve, because it's something that the United States has no control over, and it's something that's valuable. And a lot of them also see the writing on the wall in that the dollar will collapse, and when it collapses, gold is going to be reevaluated upwards heavily.
Last year and a half. Now he's all over TV so happy, saying this will hurt the world economy, and they're going to bring in their cashless society, and this is like
Yes, it's a lot about central bank systems and which nations are controlled and not controlled by them. I still remember the Ukraine revolution, Maidan revolution. A week into that, you had planes loading up all Ukraine's gold and flying it out of the country. A week after they overthrew the pro-Russian democratically elected president. It's anywhere. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same with Venezuela, but I don't know. They didn't really conquer it as totally in the same way as Ukraine. So I haven't heard anything there. But yeah, they getting Russia's goal would be that's one of the goals in going after Russia and trying to break it apart and balkanize it. Is going after its goal.
He wanted Trump's plan to fail, and he is just saying the war is so good, it may take years, but we just got to keep it going. And we have to get ready to not have energy and not have as much money.
You think they were flying it over here to make up for it missing? No, I mean, U.S. in London, they're already like critically empty of gold. In central bank gold is already gone in UK and US and a lot of Europe. Who knows about some places like Switzerland, but still, I wouldn't trust official gold reserves in a lot of places. It's like because of the gold leasing that central banks did for a long time, which is another huge topic. But yes, it's all about which central banks are influenced by the U.S. And its dollar hegemony.
And more debt. I mean, he is just absolutely beside himself because they have all this fiat money to loan us. They're just happy as a pig in poop.
Oh, and as I was saying about the Ukrainian gold, that was just sold. Sold in London as soon as it arrived. No, in maybe not as soon as it arrived. This is actually, I'll just show you because you can still see it in gold charts. You have gold that this long period of just being stable. That's they got a big supply of physical gold from Ukraine, and so after the Maidan coup, gold just doesn't go anywhere for a while before breaking up. That's because I think it's from the gold they got from Ukraine. Played a big role in that.
Oh, they are so happy because now that these direct payments within the BRICS nations are taking place. So what are some of these mechanisms that have been set up? In Russia, the financial messaging system, it's called SPFS. China, the cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS. Structured financial messaging system in Iran. This has all been going on for years. And now this conflict is making it even worse, right? So when you look at how is the U.S., what are they doing to counterbalance some of this, right? You know what they're doing?
Ukraine war.
They're printing money, Alex. How do we
And
know
what's that do? It creates inflation. So it's a big picture. They get into the nuts and bolts. 56.
Well, they're also going after Russia via Ukraine and attacking Iran directly.
6 days in, obviously this is ending for a while now. The Iranians know that if they give up, they'll just be bombed again later. They know they've got us. And so they're going to keep pressing this. You know, Russia and China are supplying them because they know this is getting everybody on the BRICS. What is Trump's off-ramp? I think...
there is no off-ramp. That's what I said. Trump was politically finished. Trump took a gun and blew his brains out, politically speaking, when he attacked Iran's supreme leader.
The former head of the counterterrorism center is right. Just even though it's a defeat, say it's a victory and just stop. I mean, we just need to stop right now. Trump's already talked about that, and sure, the Iranians will take their toll and all that, but Trump literally got snookered into this. We know he did. I'm not defending him. It's just a fact.
Tricked, yep.
It just shows how compulsive he is. He does a lot of good compulsive things, but this is a disaster. He now knows that.
Yes, but it's too late. Trump does a lot of compulsive things, and 99% of the time, he can just walk it back. He can just, he goes after Greenland. He doesn't need to follow through. Everyone knows he does impulsive, crazy things. And 99% of the time, when it turns out to be something completely batshit insane, he walks it back. But you cannot bomb Iran's supreme leader, kill Iran's pope, and then walk it back. It's too late. People are dead. Important people are dead. And the Strait of Hormuz is closed. There's no off-ramp. There's no way out. You're trapped. You're fucked. That is why you don't bomb Iran's supreme leader without some ironclad plan to deal with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Without having 1 million troops ready to go in and secure the country so that they don't close the Strait of Hormuz and wreck the global economy. You don't have that, you don't bomb the supreme leader of Iran, period.
So if this doesn't end, what's already baked in? Let's say it doesn't end for another 6 months. What is this going to do?
Well, it's going to force us to continue to print money is what it's...
The big problem still facing the world right now, in terms of an alternative to the dollar, is the renminbi, or the yuan, Chinese yuan, is not easily tradable. If you or me, average person, wants to open a bank account in yuan, we can't. You can't do it from the United States. You have to go to China and open a bank account in China, or you need to be a company that deals with China, and there's also all types of restrictions on how you can move your money in. They strictly control the value of their currency, and the way they control that value to prevent their currency from going up is by preventing people from investing just tons of money into the yuan. And that means it can't be a reserve currency if people can't easily invest in it. If that ever changes, when that ever changes, the dollar is fucked. Completely fucked. If China dropped its dollar peg for its currency and let its currency be freely tradable, the yuan would just shoot up in value, and dollar would just drop and drop and drop and just to nothing. China's dollar peg is propping up, and its currency controls are propping up the dollar. But that won't last forever.
Going to do, right? And so now they're...
Though I will say, it will be bad for China too when it drops its dollar peg. It will be the inverse of what happened during the Great Depression, nearly 100 years ago. Back then, United States was the manufacturing capital of the world, of a dominant manufacturing force, huge industrial base. And a place called Germany was our biggest debtor. They owed us tons of money. Does it sound familiar? They would borrow money from us, this manufacturing powerhouse, to fund out of control domestic spending. They had all types of domestic programs and deficit spending. And that eventually came to an end. There was a banking crisis in Germany. And we basically said, well, we're not lending you any more money. And so Germany collapsed into hyperinflation back then. And meanwhile, in the United States, we had all these factories and our buyers abroad couldn't afford to buy anything anymore. So we had this huge oversupply domestically. And so we had falling prices, deflation, depression here in the United States. Today, this time around, it's going to be China. It's the one that's going to have deflation and, well, I don't know if it'll go as bad as depression, but they'll definitely have a recession because you're going to have all these factories and countries abroad that can't afford it anymore. And so they're good. There'll be economic pain in China too. But compared to the pain in, well, let's say the Germans experience during their hyperinflation, that's what we're getting. We're getting the Weimar Republic hyperinflation in the United States, and it's not that's probably worse. It is. It gave rise to Hitler. Hitler came into power shortly after they experienced hyperinflation in Germany. So that's not a reassuring sign, is it? I mean, there are going to be people that are going to be pissed, absolutely pissed when there's hyperinflation in the United States next 5 to 10 years. And they're going to think how much Asmongold is just getting mad at the things he's already found out about. Think how mad he's going to be when he finds out the rest. I'll give you an idea of what I wouldn't want to be anyone involved with running the U.S. Ponzi scheme right now.
Who's the Fed? What's the Fed chair going to do? What are they going to do with interest rates? This is already baked in. So Jesse Colombo, great researcher in this space, he just posted a research article on his Substack. And since 2024, it hasn't been very long, the M2 money supply, which is the money that's actually printed, for circulation here, it's up $2 trillion. It's up 10%. That's unheard of during peacetime, right? And so what does that mean? What is this prediction then?
Thing is, a lot of this money, at least the physical, if there's physical money, there's two parts of money supply when you look at Fed. How much actual physical cash, and then stuff like the banks, they're deposited with Federal Reserve. What matters in big part is the physical supply and where those physical dollars are. If you Fed prints $1 billion, and then through Somali fraud, that $1 billion goes overseas, there's no inflation in the United States, at least till those $1 billion eventually make their way back. And that's basically the dynamic the United States is living off now to delay inflation, whatever, is through, it was primarily drug trafficking during Iran-Contra and, heroin supply from Afghanistan, cocaine from South America, comes in the United States, huge bulk smuggling of cash the other way to the rest of the world, dollarizing the world. Places like Nicaragua using US dollar, Iraq using the US dollar, everywhere using US dollar. Well, at some point, all those dollars overseas are going to come back. And if this is a little sad, but if efforts to stop Somali fraud and drug trafficking are truly successful, the outward flow of dollars from the United States is going to disappear. All that's going to be left is the billions and billions in places like Iraq, Nicaragua, other places around the world, slowly pouring back in the United States. And the money supply in the United States is going bigger, bigger, bigger. And from that, you start having double-digit inflation. Double-digit inflation encourages places outside the United States to de-dollarize even faster, to start maybe creating their own currencies and getting rid of the dollars in their economies. When they get rid of those dollars, they come back. Our inflation spirals even further. More people land in the dollar. And you have hyperinflation and the collapse of the U.S. superpower and U.S. financial system. And that's what we're looking at in the next 5 to 10 years. And the Iran war is definitely going to accelerate all of it.
Going to mean in the future? Well,
And let's
he's
explain to people
predicting-
watching on TV. Money supply doing this means inflation's going up. You can track it 100%.
Well, absolutely. So inflation, Alex, isn't rising.
No, not 100%. We learned that back in 1980s because back then the money supply was exploding too and inflation fell. How did that magically happen? Well, again, that principle. You print $1 billion and cocaine flies to the United States and then $1 billion flies out into Nicaragua and the rest of the world. No inflation. So the location of the dollar bills is also important. And the flow of the dollar bills out of the United States and in matters too. And not many people look at that carefully. And it's hard to look at it carefully because the dollars flowing out, that's through fraud and drug trafficking. And drug traffickers don't really report how much cash they smuggle out of the United States. And Somalis aren't being cooperative in that way either, explaining how much physical cash they've smuggled out. So you have to just use guesswork and estimates from what the authorities actually managed to track down and seize.
Rising prices are a symptom of inflation. What truly is inflation? Increasing money supply. Why? Because it takes more of that currency that's basically devaluing, that they're printing like drunken sailors, takes more of that junk currency to buy goods and services. So rising prices is actually just the result of an increasing money supply. So what does Jesse think that is going to happen? He says, well, this is going to take gold to at least $15,000 to $20,000, and gold and silver to 300 to 500, with platinum, palladium, and mining stocks kind of rising.
Okay, there are two factors that are boosting gold's value. One is the decline in dollar value. That means as more dollars are printed, there's more dollars per ounce of gold, and so price of gold must go up because of that, because of supply and demand. And yes, that is one of the factors driving price of gold up, the decline of the dollar. The other factor is reserve currency and place to stash your money. And basically in the last 100 years or more, like 80 years, the entire world has been trained to just park your money in dollars. That is the safe place to just park your money. To avoid financial crisis, everyone parks their money in cash. Well, imagine a world where the safe place to park your money was gold. That if there's a big financial crisis, everyone in the world bought gold. Gold would be valued a lot more than it is today, like 100 times more. Yeah, it just, and that is what's going to happen. Once the dollar collapses, gold will become one of the fundamental reserve currencies of the world. And it's just, in gold terms, not just because the dollar is going down, gold is just going to be valued higher because it will be viewed once again as one of the pillars of reserve currencies of the world. So those two factors are what's driving gold up. And it's in terms of an asset class, it's going to appreciate more than anything else. It's high up there on my list. And so I advise buying gold long term. Short term, there are swings. So just be aware of that. I'm not advising any short term trades in gold. Long term, yes, it's an absolutely solid investment.
Commensurate with that. These numbers are basically parallel to what you and I have been talking about, because by the end of this year, I've said for over a year now, silver's probably going to be $200 to $300 by the end of the year. Why? Because of inflation. What causes gold and silver to go up? Geopolitical conflict, wars and rumors of wars, inflation, low supply and high demand. We have
panic in the markets, panic about the banking system. And that's panic, I think, in the banking system, about the financial system. That's more for next year. There'll still be some panic about the stock market this year. Profit panic, like companies becoming unprofitable because of energy costs, that type of panic, and some people parking their money in gold. But next year, I think next year is the financial crisis starting. The 2027 financial crisis it will be. And the Iran war will set the stage for that. There were already huge structural weaknesses in our financial system. The shadow banking system is already crashing. But that spreading to our main banks, combined with the damage from the Iran war, that's all going to hit next year, together with high food prices. 2027 is going to be fun.
All of that in this intensifying conflict in the Strait of Hormuz is the accelerant to all of this. This is the problem that I see.
This from my White House sources, and now it's been public. But then he doesn't want to admit that Israel lied to him, which he's been told and which he now knows. What would you advise the president to do now?
I have no advice to the president. If I was President Trump right now, at this moment, I'd go like, anyone have a time machine so I can go back before I bomb the Supreme Leader? No, in seriousness, I'd capitulate. I'd immediately, because that's what's best for the rest of the world. Right now, the best thing Trump could do is give in to Iran, do as hard a bargain as he can, and get as much as he can out of negotiations, but do the fundamental concessions needed to end this war, even if that makes everyone and him look like a loser on the world stage, because that would limit the damage to the world economy, and maybe Republicans would still have a chance in the midterms if he soaked all the damage himself. That's not going to happen, though.
Well, we need to actually, we do need to control the supply of oil, right? We need to control commodities. Trump is actually doing this with the critical minerals list, right? Putting copper and silver on there to limit the exports to the rest of the world. And
he's making all the right moves everywhere else but this.
Everywhere, this needs to end. If this doesn't end and this strait isn't opened up anytime real soon, I mean, here's the problem. You don't do it right, and Iran and the BRICS nations are going to control the oil. We need to control the oil, but somehow this conflict truly just needs to end, or else we see global inflation happen.
We won't be able to control the oil of Iran and Russia. And with those two huge powers in oil not under our control, we won't have control of the oil, period. We don't have any way to actually get control of the oil.
So how does he do that?
We're in control with production, everything, till Israel tricked us to do this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Russia and Iran were sanctioned heavily, and Russia. You have to understand, both Russia and Iran could produce several times more than they currently are in terms of oil, with the right investments. Like Russia has this Arctic region they can develop that's trillion barrels of oil up there, and Iran has huge reserves of oil that are untapped in its territory too, and both of those haven't been done because of sanctions and lack of investment. So, but they're still huge oil exporters today, but they could become superpowers in terms of oil exports in the future with the right investment. And one thing Iran is going to demand from this is a dropping of sanctions, and the Ukraine war and everything is coming to an end there. Eventually, Russia will get it the investments it needs too, and Iran combined with Russia are going to dominate the oil markets in terms of being the biggest exporters in the future. It might take a few years for that to happen, but they'll be even bigger players than they are now.
Agreed. Right. So I actually don't think this is going to end tomorrow. It's going to take some kind of diplomatic posturing for this to end. I don't see that happening anytime real soon, because what does it boil down to? It boils down to who controls the oil.
No, it boils down to this. Trump needs a win, needs a victory to survive this politically. And he's still at this moment talking about winning. That's why he talks about winning. We're winning bigly all the time. Is because that's the only way he politically survives. His presidency is not finished. And meanwhile, Iran, it wants deterrence. It's been attacked once last year. It's been attacked this year, the Supreme Leader. But it doesn't want to be attacked again. And how does it establish deterrence? How does it make sure it's not attacked again? By making sure that Trump experiences a loss. By making sure that everyone in the world goes, oh, Trump made a huge mistake in attacking Iran's Supreme Leader. So Iran is, these negotiations, the fundamental idea is they want to inflict a loss on the United States, and Trump needs a win. They are our opposite extremes of the spectrum. And it's going to have, the only way this ends eventually is the rest of the world twisting Trump's arms and getting him to accept the loss. That is what ultimately happens. But that is going to take a few months to get to that point. And the world is going to suffer.
Who wants to control the oil? We do. Iran does. But the control of oil is like the control of money. And you've got the Rothschilds and the global banking cartels behind it because oil is money, right? So they're making money hand over fist over this, right? So when we look at what this is going to do moving forward, I just wanted to share with everybody, you know, I've said just a voice in the wilderness. I think silver is going to be $200 to $300 and gold is going to be 7,000 plus. Now, what do some of the other economists now starting to say? Well, let's look at them. Bank of America. Okay, big bank, right? So they think silver is going to be 135 to 309 by the end of this year, simply because of the gold silver ratio. David Hunter, big silver, you know, forecaster, researcher.
The reason I don't say to invest in silver is because it's a lot more volatile than gold. That means it swings up and down a lot more. That means, yes, you can get much bigger profits if you invest at the right time, but that means you can experience actually a significant loss if you invest at the wrong time. If you see, if I can just go back to his graph, silver. Like if you invested 100, you could have lost 20. Sorry, I moved my head. If you invested at 100 and it goes down 75, I mean, you've lost 25% of your money if you invested at that time. Whereas gold, if you look at how much it's fallen from its high at the similar point, at this point, from here to here, gold is down 10%. So silver goes, silver, you might have a 25% loss. Gold, at maximum, you have a 10 and 15% loss. It's more risky. On the upside, move my head the other way. If you invest in silver down here at 25 and it goes up to 100, you made 3 times more money. So it's more volatile. Just if you want to take risks and you time it right, you can make more money from silver. But just beware, it goes up and down more, and there's more risks in it. Gold is more stable.
Okay, big bang. By the end of this year, simply because the caster researcher, 180 by the end of this year, with the breakout happening this quarter. Citigroup, another big mega bank, right? 150 to 170 by the end of the year. Robert Kiyosaki, rich dad, poor dad guy, right? 200 by the end of the year, but not because of the other reasons that we're talking about. He just sees a fiat currency crisis coming. So that leads us to some videos that you and I watched. It's like, I think we should watch them, right? Because that's what she is talking about in this video. Now, who is she? She is...
It's not a bad time right now to invest in gold or silver.
Judy Shelton, right? On Trump's economic, committee, the first term, being nominated for the Fed chair.
Though my recommendation there is with investment of a year plus, because year plus investment in gold and silver right now is going to do well. Short term, because it always swings.
She says a lot of things about what the founding fathers said about our monetary system right now, and what happens if we don't reform money. I think the results could be devastating if this isn't figured out here real soon.
No. There's no avoiding that devastation. The U.S. financial system is a Ponzi scheme. It's what I researched in 2008. I haven't talked about it that much. But some of the stuff I actually never blogged about, what I found out about the banks and how insane what's going on there is. Entire Wall Street, the U.S. bank system is like a bucket shop. If you go in to buy something, your money's thrown in the bucket, and it is completely disconnected from the underlying asset, ultimately. And it's when you have a Ponzi scheme, you can't fix it. The Ponzi schemes are not a fixable fraud. If you go in, the Madoff during 2008, this guy who ran a Ponzi scheme. If you found out Madoff was running a Ponzi scheme, you say, okay, let's fix that. No. People that have their money invested into this Ponzi scheme, there's nothing behind it. There's no way to make them whole again. They're just fucked. The question is, you can maybe choose who gets fucked more, whatever tiny little bit of money is left, you can choose where that ends up. That's all you can do. That's what U.S. financial system is. When the dollar enters its death spiral, it's not. I think this will take more than 5 years to enter the death spiral part. But when it does, yeah, there's nothing in the world that can fix the economic and financial pain coming principally to here, but also in Europe, a whole bunch of places, but centered in the United States. It's going to be bad. And you can try to prepare for that, buying some gold ahead of time, probably good, but there's no fixing a Ponzi scheme.
That's why we needed Trump's plan to succeed, because we were basically already in bankruptcy. That's why I was cheerleading him so hard, despite problems. We all need this. That's why.
Yeah, that is the one problem, the one flaw Alex Jones has. She doesn't know about the financial Ponzi scheme element to this, everything that's going on. He thinks it's just a conspiracy that just were the elites. It's what they put out there, and this just the evil people that are abusing children. Yes, they are thus too, but underlying problem to everything that's going on, to the Epstein class, to the Israel stuff, to everything, is the dollar Ponzi scheme, the U.S. financial Ponzi scheme, run by the Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund, centered there. That's the heart of deep state. And yeah, there are no aliens, by the way. That's another little issue with Alex Jones. They tricked him into believing in aliens. Trump got tricked into a war with Iran. That's considerably worse, but Alex Jones did get tricked into believing in aliens. And he doesn't know about the U.S. Ponzi scheme aspect to all the conspiracy. Those are my only real overriding issues with Alex Jones. Everything else, he's pretty much on point.
War made me go completely at his ass, and he did back down, on the total nuclear war. What were we supposed to do, Kirk? I mean,
you think he thinks the aliens are demons? Possibly, but you can look up some of the clips of Alex Jones talking about aliens, and it's really completely batshit insane. He talks so sensible about everything in the video so far, about the Iran war, about all these things. Then he goes on to aliens, and oh my God, it's terrible, because if people believe him, the aliens are not real. I promise you. I promise you. It's they started with the whole UFO stuff after the Kennedy assassination. A psyop. You convince anyone that doubts the government that they're hiding stuff about aliens, that UFOs are real, you discredit them. Everyone who believes in them, instantly, easy way to discredit them. That's the purpose of aliens.
Be honest with me. We'll come back and play these clips, the two powerful ones from one of Trump's economic advisors. What do you think of my handling of it? I mean, I had to hit the panic button a month ago when he's...
No, you said stuff like crazy astral projection stuff and LSD can be explained to aliens. No, what explains, like, I'll give you an example. Moist Critical, a huge streamer, YouTuber. He told about the story about how his father came to believe in aliens. Step one is that his father didn't believe the Kennedy assassination. He was completely doubting that. And so he was common sense at that point. He thinks. Then one of his father's friends that he trusted with his life, worked in the military, told him he'd seen them moving an alien corpse, or something that looked like an alien corpse, around the U.S. military base. And because of what Moist Critical's father, that father's friend said, he, for the rest of his life, believed in aliens. So it's not LSD. It's not, I don't think the soldier was on LSD, or there was any type of mind. I think, the CIA's ties with Hollywood go back decades. I think that just after the Kennedy assassination, at some point, some intelligent person at the CIA decided, okay, let's ship around between different U.S. military bases this prop of an alien, something that looks like the corpse of an alien. You just, make up whatever, create a corpse of an alien, ship that around, and just people tell them it's completely classified, not officially completely classified. No one can talk about what they're doing, this operation to move this prop around between U.S. military bases. And just do that and let events play out. And then thousands, if not maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Americans learn through family members or friends in the military about these corpses, this stuff being moved between U.S. military bases. And those who were already skeptical of the government believed, oh, they're covering up something about aliens. And just like that, the CIA discredited a generation of skeptics of the of mainstream media, of the official narrative. Very effective. It's what I would do if I was running the CIA and just assassinated Kennedy, and I was trying to discredit everyone that was against it. Yeah, I that's what I do. I move some props around, have some quote unquote whistleblowers go out there and warn that they're covering up about aliens, and baff, all the critics, all the people saying CIA is covering stuff up, they now believe in wacky alien stuff, and we can just make fun of them in the media.
It's like, I'm going to destroy civilization forever and never to return. And, they were all pushing nuclear attacks and all that. I mean, I had to get really aggressive.
Well, I love President Trump. I think he's doing a really good job. Nuclear war and the...
I have supported President Trump at various times. I wasn't a big content creator at any of those points, so I never had a big impact. But I've never loved Trump. He's always been crass and sort of a jerk at times. And and even his supporters must admit he's Trump. He is, you're fired. He fibs, exaggerates, bullshits. Yeah. So I've never loved Trump, but I was mostly supportive of him, even during the second term, even with all the mistakes he was doing internationally. But the war in Iran, one mistake, completely wrecking the global economy. That type of mistake you can't undo. It's millions will starve. I said it because of what's going to go on with food prices. The U.S. president, by his decision, Trump's decision, million are going to starve. He's literally responsible for millions of people dying with his decision to attack Iran. It's not something I can just overlook. Or defend in any way. He fucked up in the biggest way possible, and we need to move. He's finished politically, and we need to move on.
Potential for Israel to nuke Iran is never a good outcome. That changes the rest of history, right? Moving forward, right? So,
explain it. We become a pariah, nuclear clouds, even if India and Pakistan don't touch.
And it damages U.S. In so many ways, like. U.S. There's still this aura of absolute invincibility behind the U.S. military. That's gone. It's already gone, but it's going to go even further by the time this is all over. It turns so much of the world against us. Everyone, everywhere in the world that feels economic pain at the gas pump because of this war is going to hate the United States and Israel. It's done irreparable damage to the United States. In terms of goodwill. Israel too, but Israel had already lost a lot of that goodwill. It's going to lose what little has left. They're just mistakes of that magnitude. You just have to never make them.
Pakistan now says they'll nuke Israel. They do it. I mean, all the war games just go from bad to worse. It is the most horrible, psychotic idea ever, and they were pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, which is why evidently we needed to go in there, right, to stop this and to stop the nuclear proliferation and their ability to use nukes on us, right? So all this talk of nukes, though, we have to avoid that, right? We have to avoid that because that would impact everything from food supply to massive amounts of human death to changing the landscape politically forever. It's like, this is why...
Yeah, all that's happened. It's built. It's going to happen. There's no off-ramp. There's no... This, right now, the most likely scenario is everything just continues in this limbo of ceasefire, Strait of Hormuz closed for another 2-3 months until the economic pain on the rest of the world just becomes so great that they band together, twist Trump arm, and say, basically, fuck you, surrender to Iran, and get the Strait of Hormuz open. That is how this ends. It may take a little bit longer, maybe happen a little bit faster, but that is the most likely conclusion to this. And it's the most optimistic conclusion to this. The other alternative is that this somehow escalates, either with all of, basically the entire Gulf going up in flames, and the entire world is fucked for 3 to 5 years economically. This would be worse than the Great Depression everywhere in the world. you remove not only all the oil from the Gulf, all the fertilizer, all natural gas. There's nothing that can make that up. And oh my God, let's not even consider that seriously, and hope someone sensible around Trump make sure he doesn't escalate that way.
Well, in all the CIA analysis, and I agree with it, it will cause a major Arab uprising. And the Arabs talk about this, they know this, where if they drive in from a bunch of countries just in their Jeeps and stuff with small weapons, the Israelis.
I don't know. You say the elites would love it because it kills small businesses. I don't know about bailouts. Some big businesses might go under too. The stock market would completely crash. And the economic damage would be so extreme that I don't know if the United States could afford to bail out companies anymore. Overall, I think even big companies would rather the Strait of Hormuz open.
Israelis don't have 10% of even the U.S. doesn't, munitions to even take that out. So you get a few million Arabs getting their cars, like they used to get on their camels and to go take over the Ottoman Empire. When the British funded them to do that, the Saudis alone, they will flood into Israel and nothing can stop them. And then Israel will use nuclear weapons to take out that. And then now it's off the races.
Yeah, I think allowing Israel to get nuclear weapons was just such a misstep, because part of their arrogance in doing in all of their actions and all their policies is the fact that they are the only nuclear power in the Middle East, and they have this threat of just annihilating everything. And given how horribly they behave and how much bad will they built up, when they lose the U.S. backing, which will happen with how much of the United States they've turned against them, they're going to be put into a position where everyone's going to be afraid that they use their nukes. And it's going to be a constant risk. And there might come a day soon where the world is more concerned about Israel's nukes than they are about Iran potentially having nukes.
I mean, you have unreasonable people talking about irrational ideas to try to solve this thing. You do need to use diplomatic efforts. You should never use nukes as the deterrent or as the final outcome, because it'll just change things forever, right? And so this is why this is so tense. But what we're dealing with is...
Well, this entire war, Iran war, wouldn't have happened if Iran had just bothered getting a nuke already. The United States wouldn't have dared to bomb the supreme leader. The world economy wouldn't be collapsing. So using nukes, yes, but getting nukes, there are reasons to get them. They do have advantages in certain situations. And yeah, there wouldn't be stories, commentators right now today debating whether or not Israel will use nukes against Iran. Those stories wouldn't be happening if Iran had a nuke.
Not just the flow of oil. It's not just money. It's not just a monetary system. You're dealing with religious ideologies that go back thousands of years, and two people groups who really don't want each other to exist. And so therefore, nukes are an option, right?
No. On the Israeli side, maybe. But that's not entirely it. Israel, yes, it's a product of Zionism, but that Zionism has been artificially propped up. Just like, let's say, ISIS in Syria, this radical group that went around genociding Christians. They weren't a natural phenomenon in Syria. They were funded externally by Saudi Arabia, CIA, Mossad, armed, trained, and completely unnatural extremism. Israel is the way for the deep state to project its power into the Middle East. And they've chosen the particular group of extremists called Zionists as their vehicle to do so. The problem with extremists is they're extreme and they do batshit stuff, and they're going to they're a useful tool, but they're also cause problems when they start wars you can't win and stuff like that.
Should never be an option, Alex. This is why this is so hard to come out of, because you're dealing with religious, ideological, worldview differences. It's not just about money. It's not just about power and control.
That's right. And if people think the Strait of Hormuz is being closed is bad, even a limited nuclear exchange, what, 500 times worse?
I mean,
I don't think you can put a number to it.
I don't even know how you estimate how much worse it would be, because it would change the world forever.
Well, that's what the Israel lobby wants. They want nuclear war to make them give up. They're not going to give up when you do that.
No. Yeah, nukes aren't an option, and yeah, I'm going to pray sensible minds prevail, and that never comes true. Well, anyway, it's my first time reacting to Alex Jones in a long time. And that was interesting. This will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch on Kick or Twitch. And I'll see you next video. Bye.